Hello, you are listening to 107.7 WFCS, New Brain Heart for the Edge. My name is DJ Nicole, and today I'm here with a very special guest, Mary Fraud. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Mary Fraud. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, guitarist, among other things, and I'm from Meriden, Connecticut.
And today we are going to be talking about the album she's about to release, Good Enough. It is a 13-track album. I'm very excited. We're probably going to go over each song, like play it, talk about it for a little bit. Hopefully we have enough time. I have 2 hours. I assume that'll be enough time.
Yeah.
But first off, we're going to start off with the first single you released, which was Roll Mercy. Would you like to talk about that? Would you like to talk about the process of writing it?
Yeah, so Roll Mercy was really interesting. Because I actually made that one towards the end of making the album.
Mm-hmm.
Making the whole album was kind of like, it was a very grueling process.
Okay.
And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it or that I don't enjoy making my art, but by the end of it, I was very much like stretching myself thin to get this album done. And it's like, not like I had any deadline. I just really wanted it really bad. And I kind of hit like a creative block, and Roll Mercy got me out of that. I think, like, one of the songs that really inspired that song is Jigsaw Falling Into Place by Radiohead.
I was talking to my boyfriend about it, and I was like, it sounds like a few tracks are very Radiohead-esque.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
Yeah, no, Radiohead has always played a huge influence in the music that I make. Among like other artists that inspired Radiohead, you know, like Pink Floyd or the Beatles or something like that. But yeah, Roll Mercy, the process of writing that, it was super cerebral and cathartic because, yeah, I don't know, it's super, like, it's a personal thing between me and somebody else, but the gist of it is that, like, I kind of had a falling out with someone, and sometimes as we get older, we have falling outs with people, and, like, sometimes we can, like, blame it on ourselves, or we want to point the finger. It's, like, instinctual, and I guess, like, Roll Mercy was my way of saying, even though I know it's silly to point the finger, I'm just going to air it out so that it doesn't fester, you know, so that I don't actually build long-term resentment with this person that isn't my friend anymore. I'm just going to air out the resentment so that I know I resent this person. And then after that, I was able to accept that it was just over and that it was nobody's fault. But I had to air that out first, or else it would just spiral inside of me. So
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think a lot of people, me included, will have friendships, have relationships, and then they'll fall out for whatever reason, and you might not be able to understand whose role was what within the narrative of the story of like you and that person. But in the end, it's just like things happen and people fall out, and that doesn't necessarily have to mean you have to have ill will for them. It just means that you're no longer as close. That just means you're able to form other more meaningful relationships with other people, and it just opens more doors.
exactly. It's not, and depending on the type of person that you are, sometimes we as people make that a measure of our worth. And so if we don't, that's something that I learned through a book called The Artist's Way, which is the book that Doechii credits for her success. And in the book, the author essentially talks about this idea of that we have like silly fears and silly things that we think about ourselves that are like harmful beliefs. And we don't tell anyone that we believe these things about ourselves because we know that the other person's going to say, well, that's silly. How could you possibly think that? So we don't, like I said, we don't air it out. So it never gets solved. And I guess like, I didn't know I was doing it at the time because I hadn't started reading the book yet. Okay. But I made Roll Mercy. I wrote that song, I want to say pretty soon before I found out that I was finished with the album. I think Stand Down and The New Normal were the last 2 songs I made on the album. And then I think before that I made Joke, and then before that I made Roll Mercy.
Okay.
But the entire album in total, like I think I started it, I want to say like mid 2023. So, and I think that there's only like 1 or 2 songs that are like on their like 7th or 6th version that actually made it to this one, but I just like started stockpiling stuff. And actually Roll Mercy was probably one of the only songs on the album that didn't have a different version. It was just what it was, and I was just happy with it when it was finished. But
I think that's beautiful. I mean, like, you as the artist obviously know, like, once it's done, and just being able to create a body of work that's like on your first try perfect, it's that's amazing.
yeah, the writing it too is interesting too, if I might add, because I don't if you notice in that song, the way that I'm singing the lyrics are kind of weird and like not in a bad way, but like almost like awkward, like
Yes.
like I'm not
It's
standing
not
on 2
normal,
feet. Yeah. And that's because what I did was I had that instrumental made, and then I went over it and I just basically mumbled nothing.
Yeah.
And then I took that section of mumbling, just some sort of thing, and I took that and I made it try to sound like I was saying words, so that when I reversed it, I would get a different flow for my lyrics.
Very Bjork. I love that.
Yeah, I guess so. It's because I was also kind of starting to get into a creative block, so I needed something to sort of like write my lyrics for me, almost. So the it was in the first 3 lines. Yeah, my mind again. Yeah, let's send this thing off. I like heard that in the reversed mumbling, and I was like, let's send this thing off, like that. Like that spoke to me. So I just continued, and it's weird, and I know it sounds mystic, but I really did find my situation in the reversed mumbling nothingness of that. And then by like the final verse, which is the big climactic part, that one I wrote by myself, because I was just the reversing of the vocals like propelled me into writing. Writing the lyrics is always the hardest part. It's never coming up with the chords or coming up with the drums. That stuff comes easily to me. It's always the words.
Figuring out what to say. I understand. I feel like, I mean, I've never written a song, so don't get me wrong, but I feel like as someone who is also an artist, trying to understand what you want to put for your project, there can be a lot of ideas circulating within your head of like the like final outcome that you want to produce. So it can be very interesting to see how your mind will go back and forth when it's trying to create something.
Yeah, it's very much a process of letting go. I think, I mean, I know you say that you're not a songwriter, but just because you're not singing melodies doesn't mean that you're not a songwriter. You speak every day, and you probably have a journal or something. And I think that songwriting it's not like, it's not in any way like mystical. It's more just like the same thing that everybody wants to be, which is more honest and more genuine and just like to the point. And so music and making music is a reflection of that, because if you're an honest person, then naturally that's going to weed out the people that aren't for you. And so but then also if you try to be everyone's friend and you try to be like cool with everyone, then you're not going to have anyone. Just like in music, if you try to make a song that everyone's going to like, nobody's going to like it. It's going to sound like crap. And then if you are writing a song that's honest, some people are going to like it, some people aren't. But the ones that like it care and they feel it. And it's just about getting to a point where you're just able to just be like, I'm not ashamed of anything I'm feeling right now. It's totally normal, and I can just write about this, and nobody's coming to kill me for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be all right, you know? And that's the same thing with life and being a human, you know? It's the same.
Yeah, and I think that this song really just shows human emotion and just like going through either like a breakup or some type of like distancing with another person. And I think it's something that, like, even though you said you don't make music for everyone, I think this is something that a lot of people will be able to gravitate towards and relate to.
Yeah,
so I
hope so.
Yeah, I think with that, we should probably play it. Here's Roll Mercy by Mary Fraud. We're back, guys. Hello, hello, hello. So that was Roll Mercy, the first single off the album. We just spent the last like maybe 5 to 7 minutes talking about it. Beautiful conversation, honestly. Now we're going to be talking about fishingandboating.org, one of my personal favorite songs off the album. My first question, and it was something that I've been wondering the entire time, what's the sample? Like, where did you get it from?
Which one?
Just the main one that you hear when you start to hear like the little like, I don't even know what that sound is specifically, but I just like identify it with like specific like dots or droplets, like the bum 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 bum, like once it first starts.
Oh, like the foot stomping and the thing.
Yes.
I don't think it's from anywhere like
Really?
special. I
Okay.
think it's just like, I think I just found like either I recorded. No. Okay, so there's a part of it that sounds like coins.
Yes.
I filled like a glass jar with coins and I was just messing around with it. I wanted it to sound kind of like 3D, but I think
it is
at
very
the
that, yes.
at the end of making it, I realized that it just kind of made it sound like unsettling, which is fully like what I go for at the end of the day sometimes. So, and then the stomping, I think it's just from like this website called freesound.org where people just like, they just upload just sounds that they record with like high
Really?
quality microphones. Like,
Okay.
and sometimes on freesound.org, there'll be like a park in this random obscure city in France. Like, and they'll like give you the address to the park and like what kind of bushes were there. Like people that are really invested in
Really?
like sound effects and Foley, they'll upload stuff like that there. Freesound.org, it's an amazing website. And I was messing around with that for so many of the textures on the album because it's just such a large database of just different stuff that I can't do because I don't have a microphone that I can hold up to even the most quiet, tender sounds. You know what I mean? But they do. So
Oh,
that's where I found that. And then the fishing and boating.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just like, I literally just found that there's this website where it's like a globe and you move the globe and you pick a spot on the globe and it zooms in, and what you've done is you've clicked on a radio at that particular spot on the globe.
Really?
And so I just recorded the tab and I just collect that up sometimes because sometimes I like to have like little vocals or just stuff to have on hand if I feel like experimenting. And so that's what that is. And then I just was just playing the sample over and over and over again. I think I was probably like having some sort of like psychic meltdown or something like that when I was making that. But it's a good song nonetheless. And I'm really proud of that one. So.
Oh my God, it's so good. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about it before we can give her a little listen? Who are the fishes?
Who are the fishes?
Yes, who are the fishes you were referring to? She's finding it. She's finding
I'm getting it. Sometimes it takes me a moment.
No, I get it.
I'm not coming up with the meaning. I'm trying to word it. If you look at the lyrics, it's very tongue in cheek. It's very much like let's do this so that we can be cool. And basically the fishes in the boat is essentially people that say they want revolution, but they don't want to do anything about anything in their brains to make that happen. They just want to co-opt it so that they can feel like they're on the right side of history. So
Yeah, I think about very much the day we live in now with social media and how it's so easy to just like, I remember at one point there was this like AI photo of "We all stand for Rafa," and I was like, out of the hundreds of millions of thousands, that's the one that goes viral? Are you kidding me?
yeah,
That was insane. And
the big fist, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, but I think this is just so good, and I'm so excited to give it a listen. So here's fishingandboating.org. All right. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. I know I did. I think it's so good. She was just mentioning the fact that a lot of these songs have a very good like funk soul vibe, and she went to see one of the last Funkadelic concerts in 2023.
Their last tour, yeah.
Oh my
I'm a
gosh.
big fan of Funkadelic. Love Funkadelic. Love Prince. Love all that.
Oh, that's so good.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. I guess that's not really funk, but
Well, kind of. It's disco funk. And,
yeah.
I just love Boogie Wonderland. I listen to Boogie Wonderland a lot. And speaking of Drag Race, there was a Boogie Wonderland lip sync. We were talking about drag. We like briefly mentioned it. It's one of my favorite interests. Sorry, there was a Boogie Wonderland lip sync throughout the season. It was very good. If you don't watch Drag Race, you should tune in. That's it. That's my only little
Absolutely.
tidbit today.
Absolutely.
The next song is Coin Hole. It feels very radio-esque as well. Is there anything that you feel helped inspire you for that song, really?
I was working in retail at one point, and I only worked there for like 2 months before I quit because I burn out really easily.
As someone who's worked in retail for 2 years, I completely understand.
Yeah, and I
It's
get
hard.
very like overstimulated, and not like overstimulated like because people say overstimulated all the time. Like I literally like I can hear the like iridescent lights. Like I can hear it. Like it's so bad. And I was just getting so tired of the fact that I had been working there for so long, and this disconnect between how terrible this job was making me feel and the fact that I had only made like $200 by that point, or like $300.
It was not worth it.
It was not worth it. And obviously there's I think that the song broadly is about like issues of capitalism, but I think that just working in that very, very capitalistic environment, you know, like just this feeling of constantly just like walking back and forth from the changing room and just putting clothes on racks all day. It's just like it sucks the soul, and it just makes me think like do human beings really like need to have all these things, or do we just think we do because that's all there is to have because we don't have anything else, you know? I guess you could also interpret Coin Hole as it being recession hour. I think you could also interpret Coin Hole as just the frustration of like how much you lose and how little you gain in a system like that. It's very much like a protest song, but
Yes, there are a few of those on the album. So we briefly went over one, fishingatboating.org, the understanding of the fishes and just what that means to live in a really social media dominated society and just like not really taking a time to care for what's happening really in the world. And this also is like another really good message that has to do with that. And it also transitions into both sides. So I don't know if you maybe want to talk about that afterwards and the track placements and why you chose to do certain transitions. But
yeah, I'm thinking maybe we could just go from just Coin Hole into both sides?
Of course, and then we talk about it afterwards.
And then talk about both sides afterwards. Yeah,
because then I also want to ask about your feelings once you finish the album. So I feel like that'd be a great time as well. So we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna listen to some songs. I'm gonna play a PSA at some point. I have to do one of those every like 2 hours. So yeah. Here's both sides. Hope you enjoy.
Am I good? How's my mic?
Yes. Yeah, you're
Is that
perfect.
good? Okay.
Yes. Don't get me wrong. You're always perfect. You have nothing to worry about.
Thank you.
You just listened to Coin Hole and both sides. One transition to another so well. How do you feel? How did you feel about like placing the tracks, like figuring out what should go where, what should transition into what?
I just listened to the album fully from front to back again today, and I just realized like yeah, like I did it exactly like what I wanted. I wanted this album to, when you make your first album, it's kind of like, you feel like you put a lot of pressure under yourself because you just you want so badly to show everyone like what you can do. And so like first albums tend to be kind of rocky sometimes because they're just like so like eclectic, because it's like, I don't know, like it's just like, I want to do that, but I also want to let them know that I can do this and I can also do that. And so I'm really happy with the way this album turned out, because yes, it like demonstrated my abilities, but it's also meaningful. It's also real. And I think that it's also balanced, at least how I see balance. I think that not just in the transitions, but just in the track list order, even like one half of the album is a different feeling. Like I describe the first half of the album as almost like red, and then the second half of the album is blue.
Yes. Okay.
And the split between that is the interlude detective, which
I
is
did wanna talk about the
purposefully,
interlude, yes.
it's purposefully misspelled, but like I'm really happy with the track listing, and I'm just like really happy with this album overall. And I really was unsure about it in the beginning. I was really like, I don't know, like I feel like I got to work on it for another year. And then I decided that just might not be necessary. Maybe I just got to say good enough.
Well, yeah, we were talking about like, when did you know you were finished with the album? Because you said you thought it might have been done in December, but then you held on to it a little bit until the new year, around mid-January. What made you like fully decide to let go and just be like, this is it, I'm done, no mas?
I had to learn that I wasn't giving it up because I didn't want to be vulnerable.
Okay.
And that's why I can be such a perfectionist. And I just realized that like it's never going to be like, I'm not gonna be satisfied with this fully. I'm too in it. There's always gonna be something that I could pick out and say that's wrong. Even sometimes now I say sometimes some things about this or that are wrong, or I think that could have been improved, or my vocals could have been a little louder, or the drums could be quieter.
Critic.
Huh?
Oh, I'm saying we are our worst critic.
We are our worst critic, yeah. And so I just think like I actually just I had to throw in the towel to save myself from losing it, because also too, like as a perfectionist, sometimes I kind of start to overwork things. And sometimes it's not about how much you're doing, but what you're doing with what you have. And so if you're constantly waiting for new materials, or you think that the quality of your art is dependent on the microphone you have or the paintbrush that you have, or the fact that you haven't had enough cool experiences that you can feel like your writing is more interesting, it's like you're trying to force life at that point, you know? So at a certain point, I just had to say like, let's move on to the next thing, you know? And then now I'm looking back on it and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, actually I did the right thing letting it go then. It's been through a few different names too. Originally the album was going to be called Whelm, or The Whelm, as in overwhelm. And like the concept behind it was going to be about, loosely about like dopamine addiction, and just like scrolling and just like, okay, first they're coming for your wallet, then they're coming for your insurance, now they're coming for your consciousness. Like, but I found that there were also other things that I wanted to write about, so it started changing, and it's been different albums. I've made like 5 albums, and then this one came out of it, and they all had I'm not gonna say that. So,
this is just the baby.
yeah.
I think my only next little question before we get into Up There is, are you the one playing the kazoo on the
Yeah.
for both sides?
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so glad that you realized that there's a kazoo. I'm so glad that you realized there's a kazoo. Oh my God, yeah. No, at first when I played the kazoo in the song, I was like, this sounds stupid. And then I listened to it the next day and I was like, no, it's perfect. It's like, it's so loose. And the way I did it too, it's like I'm almost a little bit off pitch, but I think that just makes it even more like
I think it adds to like
very
the
like
abnormal
spontaneous,
vibe.
as well. Like just very much like I just picked it up and did it. You know what I mean? Which is kind of how I did. I was like, what if I just use this kazoo? I just have it laying around. Like I usually just carry it around with me as a bit.
Really?
Yeah, I just carry like a kazoo. I used to do this thing where I bought like a 20 pack. You know those glasses with the nose on it and the mustache?
Oh my
I bought
goodness.
like a pack of 40 of those on Amazon and I just started handing them out to people. And and then I also at home I have like a big thing of googly eyes and I never ended up doing it, but I wanted to just put googly eyes on things where it looked like there could be a mouth there. And that was going to be my thing, and I was going to be like the despicable anonymous googly eyed
Bandit.
but it never ended up happening. And so I used to carry around the kazoo as a bit. So like whenever someone would say something, I could just be like, and then I could make it like something that wasn't funny. But so I had it, and then I was like, I might as well use it. Cause I wanted like a trumpet. I really I so badly wanted like a brass section for this album, but obviously resources are limited right now, but maybe the next one, probably the next one, string section, brass section, all that sort of thing. But I just had to make do with the kazoo.
But the kazoo is just like, it's so
It's childlike.
Yes, it like adds to the playfulness of like talking about the perspective of being a child within the album. It just like, I also just think it breaks it up in such a fun way. Like, who would expect a kazoo just like throughout all that beautiful acoustic guitar? It was so good. And now, speaking about some acoustic guitar, we have Up There. I'm real excited for her. I think we should just play it and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So, next up is. Hello, everyone. We're back. Up There. What would you like to say? How do you feel? She is kind of that girl. I really like the guitar. I just feel like it's so raw and just like that distorted vocal really adds so much, but it's just like kind of not like simple in the way where it's just like simplistic, but it's just the guitar and you, but also just some like mixing as well. And I really, really like it.
Yeah. Up There was what I really so badly wanted for this album was I was like, I just want to write songs on my guitar, and then I just want to develop them on the guitar and just do it like they did in the old days and blah 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 blah. That's actually not what happened for most of the album. I actually just stayed where I'm most comfortable right now, which was in front of the computer with my guitar. But I think because the process is changing, I'm probably going to be doing something more similar to that for my next one. But Up There was the only song on this album that really fully fleshed out and written on my guitar. And I write songs on my guitar all the time, but I can never imagine how to reimagine them with drums and stuff like that. But now that I have a band, I can probably do that for my next one. But Up There was I really just like the chords on that. And I wanted it to sort of the chorus for it. It's the I'll be laughing at all of you when I get up there. It must be such a view to be up there. Billions of people clueless that I'm up there looking down at you. I'll be up there. What's more to say? Rich people, by rich people, I don't mean rich working class people. I mean rich billionaires, that's the gist of it. I can't say much more than that. You know what I mean? But it's I really hated rich people a lot on this album.
Yeah, I mean,
I was really angry.
I mean, if there is a time to be mad at the rich people, now kind of is the right time. we like kind of see who's in power right now.
Mm-hmm.
DEI is currently getting is threatened at a lot of schools, and funding can get cut, and it's really hard being a college student not knowing whether or not you're going to be able to afford to come here next semester.
And this is real. This is real. When I wrote up there, I imagined Elon Musk with a dream. That's who I imagined. And I imagine that's what he thought in his mind. I imagine that he said, I'm going to be laughing at all of you when I'm up there.
I love that. And then also, you mentioned the drums a little bit. I feel like it's a really good transition from the distorted vocals and the guitar from up there into Yes, when you just have that immediate like drum going in. And I'm not gonna lie, for some reason, riding in the passenger seat of a flying car just made me think of Mr. Robinson or like Meet the Robinsons.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I don't know how I came up with that. Usually the first line of every single one of my songs is just like something that just didn't mean anything when I wrote it, but then the stuff I write after that is what gives context to that first thing. Because then I'm like, okay, but what does that mean to me? And then I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and then I continue.
Actually, I want to continue talking about Yes since we're already here. I really like that song. It has such a good, like, desperate longing to it almost. And I love how it's a really good transition into the interlude that is about to go into next to it, the detective. They feel like almost like sisters to one another, if you get what I mean. And I enjoy it. I don't know if you have any, if you like were creating them at around the same time, but
no, long after each other. Yes was Yes was like very early in the process of when like stuff for the album really started to ramp up. And I think that, sorry, I'm thinking.
No, you're all good.
Yeah. The desperate longing to it that one's just an allegory for gender dysphoria, really. And following that up with Detective, I actually I go more off of, when it comes to organizing, at least for this album, I definitely went more off of how does it feel going into the next one, rather than like how, what does it mean going into the next one. But I do think that there is definitely merit to what you're saying. Like, I think that like sometimes meaning happens when we're not even trying to create meaning. And what you said was very interesting, and I'm gonna have to think about that for a while, because if Yes is desperate longing, then what is being searched for in Detective?
Yeah.
Right, and I didn't think about that.
Okay, and I think we'll have to come back once we have the interlude, Detective, because I have a lot of questions about that, especially like the misspelling of it as well. And then it also goes into the next song, Atone, which is just such a beautiful song. I love it so much. So I guess we're just gonna start off by playing Yes. So here we are.
In the passenger seat of a flying car.
We're about to go in here. Hi. Sorry. So you want to do the transition? Or we're going to talk first, so.
Yeah, I was thinking, for what, as far as Detective into Atone? Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds good. First, we're going to talk about Detective. The little misspellings we have within the title of it. What's that about? What's that mean?
I think I just liked it because it just felt Slavic. Detective. You know? I think that's about it. I think that if I just called it Detective, it just would kind of just be plain. I spelled it that way to just like color it. But also I think that the misspelling of it is just like it further reinforces just this very like balancing on one foot feeling of the album.
Okay. Ooh, I like that. Something you also said about the album was that it feels as if it's broken up into two parts and they're like distinct colors. Like the first part being red and the second part being blue, with Detective being this like middle marker in between. Would you consider that almost like a, at least for me, I consider it as like a fading purple, like that like twitches in the dark before it like transitions into the blue? Because especially with like the frequency signaling that you hear throughout it, it just feels like a flicker of light almost, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I think that in between the red and the blue, I think it's white. I can see purple, but I see white because it's like drowning, and then you like come back up for one split second and open your eyes, and the sun's in your face, and you get one breath of fresh air before you plunge down under again.
Okay.
You know?
And then that plunge would be a tone, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to talk about that? Like what you're plunging into, what you're almost like atoning for? If you're actually considering plunge, you could also, not to get like biblical, but when you're doing like a baptism, when you're like plunging into the water and coming back, you're like cleaning yourself of that original sin and atoning in a way.
Interesting.
Really
interesting. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think that atone, I guess, is a song that has multiple different meanings, as most of the songs on this album do. I'd say that the best way that I'd explain this album or this song is I guess, I mean, if you want to be on the nose about it, you can say that just like the rise of Christian nationalism. But if you want to dig a little bit deeper, which that explanation is just as valid. But if you want to dig a little bit deeper, I think also it's about this feeling of like rejection and just feeling like dejected from and isolated. Because I mean, I guess being gay, being trans, being any sort of like minority group, you kind of get pushed, and it just makes me wonder, like I said in the song, you have your house, you have your fence, like why are you so worried about what I'm doing? Like, how could this possibly mean so much to you? What my business is, what goes on in my life, what I want to do with my body, how I want to parade or anything. Why does it mean so much to you if you have your white picket fence, your daughter and son and perfect husband? If life is so great for you, why are you coming for me? Because you're bored? You know? So I guess, why do I have to atone for something? I'm not even involved. Like, at a certain point, it's just like you have to wonder, like, are you projecting? You know? So, yeah.
I think that was like a really beautiful way to put it. I don't necessarily know if I have everything. Actually, yes. Throughout the song, it has a lot of really fun instruments. It has bongos.
It does.
I thought that was really interesting as well. And then it also, like, near the end, has a glistening sound that I'll probably point out to you throughout the end. I can't, like, it sounds almost like bell-esque, but when I was in my mind, that also kind of just, like, going back to that white, like, light that you're kind of envisioning, I feel like that's a good way to, like, put it. It's like a white glistening light of, like, sparkles almost.
I'd say that a tone is kind of, it has that brightness to it, I'd say. Like, you know, when you stare at the sun for too long and then you close your eyes and everything's kind of red.
Yeah.
In a way, and it's like there's still a brightness. Or like when you look at the sun and then you look away from it and close your eyes, you see like patterns.
Yes.
And orbs. I think that that's what a tone is, if we're following that sort of like red and blue trajectory.
Okay, well, thank you so much for answering those questions, and I think we'll just go right into it. Here's Detective, the interlude, and then you're going to hear a tone next. Thank you. Hello, everyone. We are back. You are about to listen to Joke. You just listened to Atone and Detective. The last one was just a beautiful song. The end where it just like has that almost like light bass when it comes in and just has that glistening noise is like one of my favorite parts. It's so good.
The very end before
yes.
it completely wraps up.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think that's very nice. And now we're gonna listen to the second single you released. This one also has a music video. Would you like to talk about the visuals?
Yeah. So that music video was shot at this person that I work with a lot, who is a dear friend of mine and a longtime collaborator, Leela Robbins. She's an amazing photographer, and she helps me out with some photography and some videography for my stuff. She has been since before I was Mary Fraud, since I think like maybe around 2022 or 2023, probably 2022, like late 2022. And that was at her aunt's house, and her aunt just has a really nice house. I brought my guitar over. I just wanted to get something out, perform the song, put a backtrack over it, put some visuals on it. Got it done in the span of like 4 hours. Then that same night I posted it. So, and then Roll Mercy, that was at her house. We stuck all those, what's it called? The spikes on my face. With like latex glue, all individually. It took us like a couple hours to do, or like an hour and 30. We literally did it like a month and a half ago, maybe less, but it already feels nostalgic, like thinking back to making that music video and the joke one. It's just so cool. I'm gonna put out more music videos in due time. So
Do you have any ideas for which songs and what like ideas or themes you'd go with for the music videos?
something more elaborate than the ones I've been doing.
Okay.
I think that's something more like storytelling oriented.
Okay. I enjoy that. All right. I can't wait to see what happens when it comes out. Hopefully soon. Now we're gonna talk about joke. What would you like to say? What is the jokes you're referring to? I mean, like, we can kind of figure it out, but if you would like to make it known for the audience.
Yeah, joke. I think that I kind of wrote that song just kind of thinking about like alt-right pipelines and the line, take off the red sheet and see that everything's a lie. Like I think that we don't owe the people that prosecute us anything. We don't owe them, empathy, but there's a certain level where you have to consider that the people that believe in ideologies that hurt us are also people that are being ruined by the same system. We're just being pinned against each other. So there is a level to it where you have to consider, like, I wouldn't like to be brainwashed, and so why am I gonna not have any sort of empathy whatsoever for the other side and what they may be experiencing and how they might feel isolated in a world like this, and how they don't even know that there could be something better. They've just like accepted what's going on. And that's why, it's always left versus right. Like, no, guys, it's top versus bottom. And I think like, I can't change anyone's mind about anything that they feel, but I can write songs about it. So.
I think that's great. And I really hope people, whatever side you stand on, you're able to understand that, like, people's perspectives matter at the end of the day. What you've been through matters. And even if it forms an opinion that might not be the best, you're still able to understand that, and we're still able to understand that people are just people trying to get by. But it's just unfortunate that sometimes we can have more grace for people who don't want to have any grace for us at all.
Exactly.
Which, talk about a double standard. And I guess with that, here's Joke. Hi guys. You just listened to Joke. That it was a beautiful song. I just enjoyed it. I'm sorry. There's really no good way to do a transition from into another song after so many songs. Just being like, "Hi guys, you're listening to me." Oh yeah, let me do a legal ID. You're listening to 107.7 WFCS. You're in Hartford, The Edge. We have to do that so that way people know what you're listening to, who you're listening to. We'll get in trouble with the FCC.
Oh no.
We actually have a little like sign right there of like all the words we can't say, just to make sure they know. It's.
Okay, I need to study this.
She's observing the board.
Oh God.
If you've said any, it's like literally not a big deal. Oh no, you're fine.
Goodness.
Oh no, it's okay. I promise you, they're not going to be knocking at our door anytime soon. We're good.
Okay.
At one point, honestly, funny lore, we didn't know if we were like registered to be on air at one point, and we discovered this that we didn't have an updated license at like 2:00 in the morning, and like people, we have overnight shows, so this was just like really late at night. This was like a bunch of people that were like on like the regular e-board, but they were just like being friends, having fun.
Oh God.
So it was like Aiden and Gio and I think Sam. They were trying to figure this out. They were like texting in like the staff group chat, like, guys, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think we can't like play because if we like are playing without a license, we get fined. And then everyone else is texting in the group chat like, it'll be fine. We're good. Nothing to worry. The fine was like $20,000.
Oh my God.
That's like our entire budget.
Oh my goodness gracious.
It ended up all right in the end. We found out that it was like updated within like the last year. So, but
Oh my God.
the way that so many of the staff members at the time were just like, water under the bridge,
this is
it'll
like-
be all right.
This is like more than like I was expecting this to take. Like this is a whole thing. I'm not trying to undermine. I'm just
No,
saying
you're
like,
good.
I don't have a perception or a concept as to like how something like this comes together.
Trust, it's an operation. It's a ship. Hopefully, it's not a sinking ship, but it's a ship
Yeah.
that is running.
Yeah.
But enough about the radio station. We know about the radio station. Y'all listening, you know what's going on. Next up, we got track 10, Stand Down. What would you like to say? How do you feel? I feel like, actually, for me, it's just like, it almost feels like you have no choice but to give up hopelessness throughout this time, or like no choice but to give up, and you just feel hopelessness throughout this time because you see everything that's going on. You see everything that like is going on throughout the media, and you want to do something, but then it's just like you're just like one person just trying to get by, just trying to pay for housing to begin with. So it's just like all you can really do sometimes is just like pray for them and just like hope for the best.
Exactly. And I think that I said stand down Mary in a tone as well. And basically like the idea of like standing down has kind of like been popping up because like people like to tell others that like have a dream or have an idea that the world could be a better place or that things can be improved and that things don't have to be the way that they are, or that, you know, I can achieve something or that I can do something that seems completely, absolutely insane. And people like to discourage things like that. I think an example I've been thinking about recently, not like this is a very broad example, but one particular one, I was thinking about the way people treated Greta Thunberg when she started protesting for the climate, and how everybody at the time was just making fun of her because she was like this young girl like protesting for the climate. They'd all make fun of how she talks and everything. She was getting completely ripped to shreds in the tabloids. It was a whole thing at that time. And it's just sort of like, God forbid somebody wants to do something and you tell them to stand down. And sometimes we internalize that and then we kind of like become just like them. And stand down is, I guess, my fight to not and to just continue to charge forwards.
It's like a message of, and in fact, the opposite of what the title is saying. Don't stand down, stand up, keep trying, keep doing what you can.
A lot of it is very tongue-in-cheek. And that way, like, I'm saying one thing, but I actually mean the opposite. But if I said the opposite, then, you know, it'd be harder to get a grasp of like the feeling of it. You know, if I just like came on a song and I was like, don't stand down, you know, it's like, no, like stand down. You know, how does that make you feel? If I tell you to stand down, that's where you actually really get to the root of emotions, you know? Like, you know, everybody wants to tell each other you're so good. Nobody ever wants to be like, you suck, you know? Or sometimes people do. But when you hear that, then you actually are forced to confront things about yourself that you believe. Do you believe what they're saying? Do you not believe? How do you interpret that? Do you internalize it? Do you consider their perspective? What do you do in a situation like that? That's where like the real work is, you know? But if everyone is telling you like, oh, you're doing great, you know, then like you might not believe it ever, you know? And so you never confront it, you know? So it's just kind of a different way of looking at things.
Yeah, I think you have to be able to handle the one person trying to tell you that this might not be that good at the moment, but that doesn't mean it can't get better. That doesn't mean you can't work on it and make it into something beautiful.
Exactly.
And let's just continue on with the beauty, and let's just play some Stand Down. So here it is. Sorry. I have to play a PSA at some point. You're gonna get to hear the DJ Khaled PSA in like 5 seconds because I have to set it up. Hold on. Let me just press 2 buttons. that I need to press. He is a terrible person, but he has a lot of funny things that he says that were vocal stems for me at one point. So, next
Gatorade. Sorry.
I call her Chandelier. No, literally. On that note, we have Track for Profit.
Okay.
How do you feel about Track for Profit? Is she that girl? What is she? What's she giving in the context and all in which we live and what came before? Not to quote Kamala Harris.
Track for Profit is making Track for Profit was it was like the easiest song to make because it's literally like 4 notes, and what I wanted it to feel like was like just like sludging, just constant sludging along. And then finally, like, somebody runs up to you with, like, a blow dryer and, like, just blows hot air in your face until you, like, pass out due to heat exhaustion. So,
that's a very fun way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll play her. I guess there's nothing more you want to say? All right.
Go
You
ahead.
got it. Go ahead. You just listened to Track for Profit by Mary Fraud, and we still have Mary Fraud in the studio. Would you like to say hello?
Hello, my name is Mary Fraud, and I make music, and I am from Meriden, and I'm about to release an album.
Yep, it's called Good Enough. It's coming out on March 14th. That's literally in 2 days. How do you feel? It's literally in 2 days.
I don't believe it, honestly. I feel like it should, like,
Yeah, words are a lot. No, I get that. We've been doing this for an hour and a half. Words are a lot now.
no, like, not even. Like, I just, sometimes I just find that there isn't words to, like, explain certain feelings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Well, there's some words.
Oh, yeah. Well,
No, I'm joking. No, it's just it's always hard when you spend so much time on something, and it's like I'm sending my child to kindergarten. You know what I mean? Like, oh God, like really, you're not gonna be here? Like, oh, like that's like, you know. But then that means that I can just focus my efforts on giving people the best live shows, promoting it, getting it to as many ears as possible, and working on my next stuff, you know, which I'm very excited for because I'm trying to go left of center from, if what I'm making now is center, then I'm trying to go somewhere else.
Really interesting. What?
I mean, you
path do
can't
wanna
have
bridge down on?
you can't stay in the same thing forever, you know? I think like my music taste is changing. I'm changing. But I can't say for certain what that's going to look like because we're not there yet. You know what I mean?
We're on this.
We're still on the good enough train, you know?
Speaking of good enough, that is the name of the next song.
Yes, it
the
is.
Title track.
It's a title track.
Why did you decide to call it Good Enough? Were you just like, good enough?
Originally, it was called Dahanam, which is the only lyric in the song, Eternal Peace to Her Soul. That Dahanam is a old Celtic, it's a piece of an old Celtic proverb that basically talks about death and sort of like philosophizing about that sort of thing. So, but I decided not to do it because I just wanted a title track, and I just felt like that one would be the best. So,
okay. I think it's a really interesting song. It is pretty much like 4 minutes of really interesting production, and then just the reiteration of eternal peace to her soul until like this song starts to cut out. What do you think that means? Like, what do you think will be an eternal peace within your soul, I guess? Like, what does that look like?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that I know because I haven't found it yet. But I hope
Honestly,
to someday.
there's nothing wrong with that.
You know, I hope one day to look back at this album and this song and be able to say like, okay, like I made a good decision. You know, I think that I'll get peace when this journey that I'm on comes to a close. And not just this album, but every album after that, and every show, and everything that I plan to do in this life, being a musician. I think that I'll find peace after that. But for now, it's too chaotic, and that's okay. Chaos is that's inherent.
The eternal peace might just be the retrospect of it all, and just like coming to terms with everything you've done within your like music career or just like your life.
Exactly.
And it's like you said, you won't know until you get there. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can all achieve some eternal peace. I know it's a rocky world out there, so. All right, here we are. That was our lovely DJ Khaled PSA. I'm glad I could.
How often do you hear that?
A lot. People love to play it. And like when we're training new DJs, we'll just be like, if you wanna hear the DJ Khaled PSA, it's 244. And then they'll automatically know that 244 is the only one that has like something of interest. So that just gets played a lot. Oh, there was a little squeak. My knee hit I don't even know what that is. It's just like a metal drawer, I think. Anyways, we are at the last song. We are at The New Normal. Now, this is like similar to Detective in the sense that it doesn't have your normal voice. It has like a very heavy distortion to it. Is it you speaking or what is the...
Oh, at the end?
Yes.
No, that's like a text-to-speech robot.
Okay.
But it was written by me. Yeah. But the song itself is me. But the last part, as I guess, is just kind of like a farewell to the whole thing. But...
Oh, yeah. Let's actually dive into the farewell. What do you feel like you want the message to be with that goodbye? Like, I mean, it kind of is a little put out there, but is there anything else that you have, like any underlying meanings to it that you'd like to like express to us?
All I can really say is that like the point of all of it is that like I think that like as people, and me myself included, I think that like I think we just got to get real. I think we got to get here. We got to get now. We need to feel, and we need to feel each other feeling, and we need to cry. I think a lot of us in this world need to really cry. I think that's like a big problem. There's like no tears. I feel like in times in the past, people used to just like cry at a table out in public with a with a ex-lover and they'd cry, you know? Or maybe they didn't. Maybe that's just what it's like in the movies, but I don't really know anything. But I guess that's also the point, is that, like, you know, there isn't much to really do in this world besides just kind of be here, and that's like all that is real, you know? Like, yeah, that's it. It's just, I guess, I was very disconnected from reality when I wrote it. It was like a very like dissociative.
Was it
period.
difficult to write with the dissociation of it, trying to grasp the song? What do you think actually was the hardest song to write, since we're getting towards the end? I know that you said Track for Profit was probably like one of the easiest ones to get done.
What was the hardest song to write? What was the hardest one? A tone.
Okay,
No, not a tone. I don't think I try to make it hard.
Okay.
Though. I think it only gets hard. It only started getting hard because I kept making new songs.
Yeah.
But it's never hard to try again. It was just hard because every time I thought the album was done, and it ended up not being done.
Yeah.
Because then I made a new song that changes how I see all the other songs, and it was just this continuous process.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that any of the songs were like particularly difficult. If a song is hard to write, then just go to bed, go do something else. Like, art shouldn't be painful. Art shouldn't be painful to create, rather.
Okay, I get that. No, I do like that. Art really shouldn't be painful to create. I feel like we as artists just put ourselves in these boxes that it's just like, I need to suffer for my art, or am I even like creating art? But it's just like, no, you're just like torturing yourself. You're like a masochist.
That's just a belief that we hold about ourselves.
Yeah.
That's just like, it's not true that we need to be broke to have a story, or it just, people think that people, I don't know, like, you look at like all the greatest artists, you look at like Picasso and Basquiat, and, you know, people like very much glamorize these stories, like Kurt Cobain, and like the people like to glamorize these stories of tragedy, like they weren't like actually terrible and suffering. Like, I can't make art when I'm suffering. I don't feel like getting out of my bed, you know? This album brought about a lot of tears, though, because it just began to feel like I was trying to chase a moving goalpost. And so what helped was I just stopped trying to chase it.
Okay.
And I just let it be.
That's beautiful. So as we like wrap up for the last song and we finish the album as a whole, is there anything that you really want people to take away from this album that you like either want people to be inspired by or to just really hone in on?
Nothing is ever too crazy to try. And all the rules that you think exist don't exist. And all the things that you think about yourself are not real. You just think them.
I think that was really beautiful. I think a lot of people actually need to hear that, because we could just get so caught up in like who we think we are as a person that we don't take a second to like step outside of what we think our reality is and just realize nothing is really real. It's all just like things that society has just like built up over the past like 1,000 years that we have just decided to come to terms with in order to make life somewhat easier and make the days go by a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to it's so easy to, like, you know, for your grandma, your mother, or your father to tell you that, you know, you should go and be a doctor and not try to be a author because people don't even buy books these days, or something stupid like that. And then, but it takes guts to just say no to that. And it takes even bigger guts to not stop, even if it feels like it's the end and it's completely pointless. I don't think that there's any reason to stop doing what you love if it makes you happy. I'll die for it personally. I will happily. I would much rather do that than live a life where the soul and core of my being just isn't there. I've never had to live a single day in my life where I don't feel like music is possible. So
That's beautiful. And I feel like, especially for you, it's such a beautiful album, and I feel like so many people will be able to understand and gravitate towards it. Music, you can truly tell that music is your passion, it's your calling, it's something that you truly understand, and just like the emotions, the sounds, the feelings that you're able to convey. We may have been talking about, yes, it sounds like this, yes, it sounds like that, but it's Mary Fraud at the end of the day. It's your sound, it's your distinct understanding of what music means to you, and the just like culmination of the things that you've learned and wanted to put out. And it's beautiful. It's your new normal, I guess. It's amazing. Also, before we wrap up and play our last song, I just want to mention your show that you're going to be performing at.
yes.
Mary will be doing a live show March 30th at 770 Chapel Street in New Haven with a live band. It's going to be your first live band. How do you feel about that?
Shout out Chris, shout out Alec, and shout out Brendan. Chris is my backup guitarist, Alec is my bassist, and then Brendan is my drummer. I credit the fact that I even have a band right now, obviously to them, but mostly to Chris, because I didn't know any of these people. I just knew Chris. And I performed with Chris for that Emerging Echoes performance I did a while ago. And the event is called Spirals. I also had a hand in the art direction for the event and just organizing it as a whole. I've been very heavily involved in that. So it's been a lot juggling all of it, but oh my God, it's been such an amazing set of a few months, and I'm like so eternally grateful that like I feel like the wheels are finally turning, you know? And I don't know. Every day I wake up and I feel like I'm on the brink of something. I don't know if it's great or if it's bad, but I just feel like I'm on the brink of something, which is better than nothing, you know?
You're just living in that anticipation, just waiting for the next thing. Well, you have a lot of things coming up. You have the album, you have your next live show. Do you have anything else that you want to share with the audience before we say our little goodbyes and play the last song?
No.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you so much for sitting in and just being able to talk to me about this. I was really able to enjoy this process of just getting to first listen to the album as a whole and getting to talk to you and just like understand your process, your understandings, and what was just going through your mind throughout it all. It was really beautiful and really insightful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, I guess that's it. You're listening to 107.7 WFCS, your brain heart for the edge. And with that, I'm going to play the last song, The New Normal. Hopefully you enjoy, and hopefully you stream on March 14th.
March 14th.
Yeah.
2 days away. Mary Fraud on all streaming platforms. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. All right, here we go.